System studio in downtown Gainesville. It's the Martha Zoller Show. Talking the issues and filling in for Martha, it's Dr. Tom Smiley on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Well. Good morning. Good morning, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, men and women. I believe that covers everyone. I am Tom Smiley, filling in for Martha, and you won't have me to kick around him much longer. That's right, Martha is going to be back on Monday. And then sayonara to the old Dr. T. It's been a great 15 days, though. I've really enjoyed it. Today, as I came in this morning, I threw myself a going-away party. Yeah, I brought in donuts and biscuits and balloons and noisemakers. I brought in all that stuff. I decorated it. And then I invited everyone to come and share in the going-away party of Dr. Tom. Did you enjoy that there, producer extraordinaire?
I did, Tom. And like I said, the party's going to keep on rolling here. We've still got 2 more great hours.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, look, let me explain to you what we're going to do today. I don't want you to miss a single moment of it. It's very important stuff. It's the finish catch-all day for me, so I've got to move along quickly. In these last 16 days or 15 days or so, I've talked to you about some very serious subjects as well as some very contemporary news stories where I've given commentary and analysis for you. It was informative. It was, I hope, entertaining, and I can tell you it was always the truth. But I talked to you about transgender delusion. We've spoken about that. We talked about reparations and slavery. We talked about that. We talked about nuking the filibuster in order to get some of President Trump's legislative agenda passed. Well, as we close out today, there's some other very important topics I want to talk to you about as we move along today. We're going to talk specifically about Sharia law and radical Islam. Now, I know many of you don't care to know much about that, but you better start paying attention. I'm just telling you, you better start paying attention to Sharia law and radical Islam. It's coming to a city near you. And I'm going to tell you the truth about that today, so stay tuned. We're going to talk about the climate change hoax. That's right. I started talking about this several years ago. Everyone thought I was crazy. I got all kinds of ugly emails. I had people calling me backwards and uneducated. But it looks like Dr. T was more right than wrong. And we'll talk about that today. And then finally, Dr. Douglas Young, my friend, is going to come in around 9:30 or 10 or so. And we're going to spend some time talking about socialism. Why is it gaining ground with many of our young adults? What do they see in it? What's wrong with it? What can we do to combat it? So that's kind of where we're going today. It's going to be a great, interesting show. Lots of good sound bites for you. And let me begin with the pledge. We always like to do that. So kids, take it away.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good, kids. Come on in. There's donuts back there from my party. There's some biscuits back there if you want some of that. I don't think we have any orange juice, but you can make a cup of coffee if you like. All right. So this past week, I had the privilege of interviewing Clay Fuller. Clay Fuller is running for Congress House seat 14th. Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. I think there's like 30 people in that race, 10, 12, 15. Clay Fuller was very articulate, very clear. I really liked his web page. It's very informative, very well done. We talked to him for about 20 minutes. Well, I love when we're on the cutting edge and when you can say that Tom Smiley and extraordinaire producer Brother Logan are clairvoyant, because after interviewing Mr. Fuller, Donald Trump came to town yesterday and endorsed him. So Clay Fuller, former district attorney over in that area, has President Trump's endorsement, and that put some wind in his sail. But one of the funniest things that happened yesterday at the rally is after President Trump endorsed Clay Fuller, Clay Fuller came back to the podium and said, Mr. President, could you do one thing for me, one thing more? And the president looked a little bit, chagrined. He said, well, okay, well, what is it? He said, I'd like for you to pardon my daughter. He said, your daughter? Yes, you see, Mr. President, my daughter was given detention for missing school today to come to this rally, to hear you speak and to hear me endorsed. And President Trump took to the podium and did exactly that.
But I was wondering if you could do me one more favor. My beautiful daughter is here, Tallulah. She got detention to come and see you speak today. Could you pardon her, please? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Clay. Tallulah, where's Tallulah? Stand up, Tallulah. Tallulah, you are fully pardoned. Don't worry. Just tell the teacher I said it's fine.
First of all, let me say this. I don't know the story behind that. That may have been more tongue-in-cheek than not. I don't know all the details. But if it's really accurate that this child was given detention for going to a rally where the President of the United States was speaking and where the President of the United States endorsed her daddy for Congress, that school system, principal, superintendent, and et cetera, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. I mean, of all the crazy stuff that they dismiss children for today, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to give that school system, that principal, that superintendent, I'm going to give them all the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what, that was probably more tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff and just kind of more fun than not. But I'm going to tell you, I would really like to know if that was true and if the young girl really did get detention for going to hear the President of the United States speak and hearing her daddy be endorsed by the president. I really find that hard to believe. I want to believe that isn't, completely factual, that it's more tongue-in-cheek and more, just happy time, playtime with the president. But man alive, please tell me please tell me that little girl didn't get detention. For all the stupid stuff that they allow children to be out of school for without any penalty. You're going to penalize her? They ought to dismiss the whole school, let the whole school go to hear the president speak. They dismiss the kids to go watch the orangutans at the zoo, the giraffes and the tigers and bears. Oh my. So I just hope that was more tongue-in-cheek and fun than it was strictly accurate. All right, well, we'll take a phone call real quick. We've got Joe, Brother Joe, our friend from Ellijay. Joe, glad you called. I won't be back for a while, so this is the last time you hear my sweet little voice.
Well, Tom, you're done a fantastic job, and I would like to ask the WDUN management. You're too good not to be on the air on a regular basis. They need to give Tom Smiley a regular show because I've had a lot of my friends tell me that how much they like you, and of course I think you're great, and I love Martha too, but I think we ought to have Martha Zoller and Tom Smiley on the WDUN, each one having a very inspiring program. But I just want to mention to you we're really excited about the rally we're having tomorrow for Burt Jones, who was endorsed yesterday by Donald Trump, and we're really excited about that. And also we got a young guy named Philip Milam running for state senator to replace Steve Gooch, and I think he'll be a great taxpayer champion. But Tom, I would like to, tell the WDUN management, give Tom Smiley a program because you're too good not to be on a regular basis. You and Martha could both, have a program, and I think that will be to WDUN's great advantage. And I appreciate everything you've done, and I hope they'll give you a regular program, my friend.
Thank you, Joe. You're a good man, great American, and let's keep rooting for the stock market. That's what I say. Lord have mercy. Yeah, I've enjoyed being here so much. I really enjoy filling in for Martha. I mean, obviously she's the queen, and I'm just I'm the pauper, I'm the pawn, whatever. She's the queen, but yeah, I enjoy filling in for her, and I appreciate her confidence. Martha's very smart, very bright, and so she lets me fill in from time to time, and too much would get in the way of my golf. I've got to play golf 3 days a week now that I retired. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm retired, and I'll tell you, every day is Saturday for me except Sunday. Sunday is still Sunday. But every day other than that is Saturday. I'm going to tell you, I tell all my friends, don't wait too late. Don't wait too late. You're not promised tomorrow. I want to just take a moment to play a clip from Chuck Schumer. I'm just picking up a few things. I'm trying to clean up some of my list. I started 15 days ago with about 72 pages of show prep I had put together when Martha asked me to fill in for her for those 2 weeks. And so I put together a lot of show prep. I did a lot of research, went back into the archives of the audio clips to pull some stuff out. So I'm working my way through all of that stuff. I'm down now to about 11 pages. I hope I can get through all of it today. So today I just want to kind of pull it all together and throw some stuff out there for you and get your opinion. 770-535-2911. 770-535-2911. Send me a text. Give me a call. Tell me what you've liked that we discussed and we've gone over, and give me your opinion about what it is we're talking about. But here's a clip I want to pull for you. This is Chucky Schumer back in the day. Now, this is when Chucky Schumer was for Doge. He was for cutting wasteful spending. He was for, election integrity. This was back in the day. Listen to this.
Well, yeah, the voter ID laws that, first, each state can have its own voter ID laws, and some do and some don't. But secondly, what they are proposing in this so-called SAVE Act is like Jim Crow 2.0.
Well, if it's Jim Crow 2.0, which we've heard before, I guess Chuck Schumer is a racist. Because here's that same guy in 1996.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. People say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. And here, the gentleman from Florida has put together the most effective anti-fraud measure we can find without it changing the actions of the government one bit. And we find all this opposition.
Chuck Schumer was for Doge back in 1996, which brings us back to Adam Carolla. Are Democrats just dumb? Or are they just so hard left they can't stop saying and doing things that make them sound dumb? And that's the big take.
Well, that's exactly right. And I don't understand, as a layperson, I don't understand how these Democrats can just be so blasted, plain outright hypocritical. They know this stuff is on tape. They know this stuff is on record. I mean, they know they've said it. They know they've stood for it. And yet they act today as if they never said that, as if they never believed that, and they expect you to forget it or not remember it. I don't know. Overlook it. It just, as my old English teacher used to say about my English efforts, it just boggles the mind. All right, hey, a lot of stuff. Sharia law, climate change hoax, socialism, and some other great stories, plus your calls and texts, 770-535-2911. All that coming your way. You stay tuned.
What you see is what you get. I call it like I see it. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, ladies and gentlemen. We have always believed that on this radio program.
It's Todd Starnes, weekdays at noon on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Hey there, it's Cody Lovin, owner of Crawlspace Medic. Is your crawlspace giving you trouble? Maybe it's moisture, structural issues, or even foul odors? Don't worry, my team and I, we've seen it all. At Crawlspace Medic, we specialize in crawlspace repairs, encapsulations, and basement waterproofing, ensuring your home's foundation stays solid and protected. We're all about delivering top-notch service you can trust with solutions that last. Give me a call at 706-410-2400 or visit crawlspacemedic.com for a free evaluation.
You already know Gainesville Mechanical for their award-winning HVAC service, but did you know they handle plumbing too? Because plumbing problems never happen in a good time, you need a trusted, experienced team there when they do. From small leaks to major repairs, Gainesville Mechanical is here for you with 24/7 no overtime rates through their customer assurance maintenance plan. Proud to be named Best of Hall for HVAC and plumbing, Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep North Georgia cool since 1989.
What if I need to go into a nursing home? Will I lose my home? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I'm here to give you some good news. The short answer is no. You will not lose your home if you need to transition to a nursing home. But there's steps that you need to take. I've made it my mission in life to help folks in your situation. But you need to make the first call. Visit my website at kevintharp.com and learn how to get help planning for the rest of your life.
This month, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Ben Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G coverage. What? Franklin wasn't even a president. Hang on to those Benjamins. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, to switch to an American wireless company that's truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
Here's a tale of Linda trying to lose weight, but the med prices she found were all over the place.
Hidden fees and markups made her jaw drop low. Then she found Good RX. Now she's in the know.
GLP-1 subscriptions FDA approved.
With clear upfront pricing.
And same-day pickup.
That's Good RX, the no-nonsense way. Save time and money on prescriptions.
Get to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, the GBI is investigating a police-involved fatal shooting from a 911 domestic call in Gwinnett County Thursday. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
All right, welcome back. Tom Smiley filling in for Martha. She'll be back Monday. She was here yesterday, and boy, it was good to hear her voice. She's so knowledgeable about stuff, and I know you're going to enjoy her being back starting on Monday. All right, well, I'm going to talk at 9:30 after the break for the next up to the 10 o'clock segment. I want to talk to you about radical Islam and Sharia law. So that's coming after the 9:30 break. So go ahead and get your coffee, call a friend. You need to hear what I'm going to share with you about Sharia law. That's right, Sharia law and radical Islam. All right. I'm going to tell you the truth about those things, and you need to be informed. But here's a little take about Newt Gingrich. He's kind of talking kind of similar thing or two, but he's talking about Iran. And we got ships steaming toward Iran. We've got all kinds of preparations being made. President Trump is saying, look, something's going to happen if things don't happen. And Newt Gingrich just wants us to know from an historical perspective, you better take this seriously, and you better be careful who you trust. Listen to this.
I am frankly concerned because I know there are always people who think they're clever. They think somehow they can outmaneuver the Iranians. My advice as a historian is fanatic groups willing to die for their cause are very hard to deal with. And you have to assume that they will cheat, they will lie, they will steal, they'll do whatever they have to because they're driven by the religious passions, which is at the core of their group. So keep an eye on this. This is a very big deal. Sometime in the next few weeks, I hope it's going to involve the end of the Iranian dictatorship after what is, after all, been almost 50 years of warfare against the United States.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, Mr. Speaker. I really do. That the people have suffered and suffered and suffered. They're being only propped up by money and corruption, the government officials. I hope the old Ayatollah, I hope he finds himself in Russia, because if he's in his palace in the next 2 or 3 days, he may just be hearing the B-52s coming overhead. It's a corrupt, evil, barbaric, authoritarian, mean-spirited, hateful regime. I know my heart goes out for those people. I want to just take a moment before we go to a break real quick. So this is why we can't find, this is why a lot of really good people refuse to serve in public life. This is Doug Collins, my friend, VA secretary, having to sit there and listen to some man scream at him at a congressional hearing. All the while, Doug has already answered his question and has solved the problem. Listen to this.
Why isn't VA doing the same for nurses? Why aren't you doing a signing bonus for nurses? We don't have enough nurses.
We already have it. Quit yelling.
We have
at
enough.
me.
Oh, we already have it. Okay. Yes, we did pass the Raise Act. Are you here to ask us for more money for doctors, signing bonuses for doctors? Are you asking us for that?
I'm asking you to raise the cap. Will you commit right now to put?
You want us to raise the cap? Are you asking for signing bonuses?
The cap? Will you commit to raising the cap?
Okay, so your testimony.
No. Will you commit to raising the cap?
If you're asking us to.
Yes, I am.
Are you asking us to raise
time?
Okay, I'll be glad to author legislation to get you more money to hire more doctors.
Done. We're done.
Okay, so you don't.
Agreement.
Do we have enough doctors at VA?
Oh, we always can hire more doctors.
Do we have enough doctors at VA? Yes or no?
We can always hire more doctors.
So
Do we need more doctors? Yes.
Your testimony today is that VA is not fully staffed.
Who come up with that question? No, we're not fully staffed, and we haven't been for 50 years.
Okay, so we need more people.
I hate rude behavior in a man. I won't tolerate it.
Bless his heart. I mean, I feel Doug Secretary Collins' frustration. The guy is screaming. Finally, I love it when Secretary Collins says, "Quit yelling at me. We've already done it." Oh, you've already done it. Okay, well, let's move on to the next question. I don't have any idea what I'm talking about. I'm going to tell you. Thank you, Congressman, for serving. God bless you in your efforts serving our veterans. All right, we'll be right back. Tom Smiley filling in for Martha. Islam and Sharia law up next. Stay tuned.
This might be the best match you'll make all year. It's the tax match event at Krause Family Hyundai of Gainesville. We'll match your tax refund or down payment up to $3,000 when you buy a new Hyundai. So if you have $3,000, you end up with $6,000 toward a new Hyundai like the 2026 Palisade. Plus, you get America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty and Hyundai Assurance. Find your match before it ends. Get to Krause Family Hyundai on Atlanta Highway off I-985 in Gainesville or visit KrauseFamilyHyundai.com for full details.
Have you ever been at your wit's end over your identity? Hi, this is Whit Martin, pastor of Asbury Chapel. Life takes us through ups and downs, testing and challenging who we are and even who we think we are. Identities can seem to fluctuate, which means there is a bit of trying things out. But when our identities are grounded in Jesus Christ, we discover our true selves, and with that comes confidence and peace. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, behold, the new has come." To be in Christ means to find ourselves through God and not through anything else. Not through interests, hobbies, passions, or desires. To be in Christ is for something new to come, something that is from God. I invite you to search God's Word and see that God has more for you than who you think you are. And let God reveal to you who you are in Him. And that is Wit's End. Asbury Chapel invites you to learn more by joining us at 758 Main Street or visit asburychapel.net for more info.
It was quite a day in Daytona.
Chase Elliott, the leader. Here comes Tyler Reddick. He'll make the move. They're crashing behind him. Elliott's in the wall. Checkered flag is out. Tyler Reddick wins the 68th running of the Daytona 500.
Now NASCAR heads for Atlanta for the Auto Trader 400 Sunday at 2 on North Georgia's home of NASCAR. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. A timeline for Iran.
I think that would be enough time, 10, 15 days. pretty much back some.
President Trump says Iran's only option is to give up its nuclear program or bad things will happen. With the USS Gerald R. Ford near the Strait of Gibraltar and hundreds of U.S. aircraft flying to the region, including aerial tankers and AWACS radar surveillance. President Trump orders Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to release Pentagon files on alien life and UFOs after former President Obama offhandedly told a podcast aliens are real, but there's none at Area 51. President Trump chided him for talking classified. England's former Prince Andrew released from custody, but possible charges for passing sensitive UK trade documents to Jeffrey Epstein threatens the reign of his brother, King Charles. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and testimony continues today in Barrow County Superior Court for the criminal trial of Colin Gray, the father of alleged Appalachia High School shooter Colt Gray. He faces 29 charges related to allowing Colt access to a rifle used in the fatal 2024 attack. During Thursday's testimony, prosecutors asked a Winder-based counselor about efforts to try and work with Colin to schedule then 14-year-old Colt for counseling.
Did he ever respond to that, an email or a phone call?
No, he did not.
Did he ever come by your office?
No, he did not.
Prosecutors bring more witnesses to the stand in today's testimony. Hall County high school teacher facing rape and child molestation charges in Banks County. More from WDUN's Caleb Hutchins.
The Banks County Sheriff's Office said 32-year-old Felipe Enrique Nunez of Gainesville was arrested last Friday on a list of charges related to alleged offenses he committed against a then underage girl between 2018 and 2019. The Hall County School District confirmed that Nunez had been working at Chestatee High School as a Spanish teacher and JV boys soccer coach since September of 2024. He's been on administrative leave since his arrest.
And officials in Habersham County confirming that a man was seen Thursday morning carrying an apparent weapon near the Habersham 9th grade academy, but was simply passing through the area and was not a threat. Officials say he did not step on campus at any point. More news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Good Friday morning, some scattered shower chances, partial clearing with Friday sunshine. Near record highs in the mid-70s this afternoon. A small chance of a shower tonight, low 50s by early tomorrow. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Clarksville, 61 degrees. In Bethlehem, 63. And in Gainesville, 62. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Something new is coming to your neighborhood. This April, Exchange Bank is opening in Brazelton. I'm Anna Hollis, and for over 122 years, we've been Middle Georgia's community bank, offering our personalized service and our commitment to being a place where community matters. Now we're bringing that same commitment to Brazelton. We can't wait to be your neighbor and help your financial dreams grow. Learn more at exch.bank. Exchange Bank, member FDIC.
I'm Frank Norton with the Norton Agency. One thing I've learned in my 42 years in the real estate business is that Americans are not comfortable with haggling and negotiations. We're by and large not a bartering society, but we at Norton do that every day. Our professional advocates' number one priority is to get the buyer or seller the best price. You need Norton now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family is serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Well, welcome to the party. Yes, we're having a party. I'm throwing myself a going away party. That's right. I brought in donuts. I brought in biscuits. We got coffee and decorations and noisemakers, and I brought all that in to in radio. You got to throw yourself a party like that from time to time. You enjoying the party there, brother, extraordinary producer?
Tom, it's been a great morning. I already chowed down one of the biscuits, got some donuts and coffee here, so we got to get through the Friday somehow. It's making it a little bit sweeter.
I can throw a good party there. I got Dr. Douglas Young, my dear friend. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. It's a delight to be here.
I've asked Dr. Young to come in and talk specifically about socialism. We'll do that at the next break, like the 10 o'clock hour. So stay tuned for that. We're going to talk. He even has his Resist Socialism pin on today. You can go on. Turn around that way a little bit, Dr. Young, so we can see it on the camera. Kind of turn this way, and we can see your other way, this way. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can see that. And so we'll be talking about that. But right now, I want to jump on this topic of Sharia law. You're familiar with Sharia law?
Yes, sir.
And radical Islam. So let me begin by just playing this audio for you that really talks about the dangerous radical Islam that exists. And then right after that, I'll take a moment to give you a word or two. And I want to play, Dr. Young, this really interesting audio about how the left has embraced the two greatest destroyers of civilization, communism and Islam.
Right.
So I'm going to do that the second take, but here's the first one just to kind of get us started on the danger of radical Islam.
Few months. I would like you to tell our viewers here in America, Martin, a little bit of your background briefly, if you would, on how your family left a place that used to have a lot more religious freedom until Islam came to town, and then we'll get to what's happening in Australia. Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah. It's such an honor to be here with you, Dan. And, I grew up in Egypt. Egypt 1,400 years ago was a Christian country. We were 90% Christian, but we abandoned the God of the Bible and we allowed the godless and demonic Islam to take over. 1,400 years ago, Islam came, conquered Egypt by the sword, and now it's flipped. We are no longer 90% Christian and 10% Muslim. We are 90% Muslim and 10% Christian. Christians are dying every single year in Egypt. We grew up around the Muslim Brotherhood where you're not allowed to critique Muhammad. There's no freedom of religion. There's no freedom of speech. And now we move to the West hoping to get freedom. And we find right at our doorstep Islam coming to the West. And we've seen Islam take over the UK. Yep. We've seen Islam take over London. We've seen Islam take over Somalia and Yemen. All these Christian countries that used to have Christ in it now no longer have Christ, but they have Muhammad. And that's why we came here to the West. We are here to fight the godless and demonic Islam. We are here to fight this Sharia law and declare that Jesus reigns over America and Jesus reigns over the West.
It's interesting to me how so many people are blinded. This radical Islam stuff, it's not a religion, it's a political ideology. And everywhere they go is destruction. I mean, think about this, Dr. Young, think about this. 1,400 years ago, Egypt was 90% Christian.
Right.
And now because of the conquest of Islam, they didn't go in there to give more freedom. They went in there to take away freedom. And now Egypt and that whole area is so much Islamic-led persecution, suffering. People don't get it. They don't get it, Dr. Young.
I think that for leftists in the West, they have a Marxist view of the world. They think of everyone in terms of groups, not as individuals, and they see groups in terms of you are either a member of an oppressor group or an oppressed group. And leftists regard Christians and Jews and Western civilization itself, certainly Caucasians, Westerners, as oppressors. And they see Islam as an oppressed group of people. And because most Muslims are non-white, they see them as oppressed. And most leftists have such a deep, visceral, all-consuming hatred of Judeo-Christianity that they are willing to overlook all the horrific abuses of radical Islam, of Islamists. And we see these outrageous Orwellian absurdities like homosexual or queers for Palestine. Whereas, and the reality is, if these Western homosexuals dared to set foot in Gaza, they would be executed merely for being homosexual.
You know, that's so good. That's so true. And we've talked about that. We've had guests on to talk about that. I hope people are finally getting it. But, you know, we've talked often, I have talked often about the leftist in this country, the progressive, woke, socialist, Marxist. And what I think people miss, and some of you listening miss this, that the left, the Democrat progressive left, they are actually embracing the two greatest destroyers of Western civilization, and they don't seem to care. And I'm talking about Islam and communism. That's what seems to be in vogue now with the left in America.
The liberals have embraced the two greatest destroyers of a civilization. Throughout history, if you know anything, you know that the two greatest destroyers of a civilization are communism and Islam. And communism gets in through leftist ideologies, fast-tracked by socialism, which is what the Democrats are embracing. Look at Mamdani. He checks off both boxes. He's an Islamic socialist. And this is who the Democrats are. They are embracing the two destroyers of civilization, and they're doing so while trying to tear apart and rip apart the family unit. Take away family, take away basic biological truths, take away God, and embrace insanity. Manipulate your voter base on emotion. Because if you can make someone believe that a man can become a woman, you can make them believe anything. If you can get people to support terrorism, the Islamification of the West, you can get them to support anything. Europe will fall because of it. Take it from somebody who has spent the last 3 years living in England. It happens in less than a generation.
So, what did you teach your kids about communism and Islam and Western civilization, and how did you talk about that when you were a professor?
I tried to always talk frankly about it and tell what may be some uncomfortable truths for people. The reality is leftists want to destroy Western Judeo-Christian civilization. They see Judeo-Christianity, they see Westerners, they see Caucasians, they see Europeans and Americans as oppressors, as imperialists, as people who have economically taken advantage of the rest of the world. They think that our wealth was stolen from non-white third world peoples. And so they want to destroy us. I mean, they routinely now, the chairman of the Democratic National Committee at DNC events, he begins by saying, we are holding this event on land that was taken from some X, Y, or Z tribe. So I think people need to understand that leftists are about destruction. Marx was all about revolution, about destruction, destroying the old order. And they really have very little understanding or appreciation of history. And remember, whereas conservatives, they root their value system based on the Bible and history in terms of what's worked, leftists are far more theoretical. They're far more abstract. They want to work towards some never-before-seen magical utopia. And they believe that things will just somehow work themselves out. Marx was very precise in his critique of capitalism. And the Bible of communism, Das Kapital, which is German for capital, is about 1,000 pages, and he's just got gobs and gobs of statistics and arguments against all things capitalist. But he has virtually no prescription or plan for how to convert a formerly capitalist industrial economy into a communist one. Mm-hmm. And Vladimir Lenin, not good Beetle John, but bad Commie Vlad, the first communist ruler in the Soviet Union, he had almost nothing to work with to try to figure out how to go from a non-communist society to a communist one. And the only way he could do it was through a brutal totalitarian dictatorship. And so it's not a coincidence that every single leftist communist government has been a totalitarian dictatorship where there is total government control over every aspect of people's lives, because people are not naturally willing to share and share alike, and everybody is equal. I think the only three species that communism works with naturally would be ants, bees, and the Borg on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Well, that's a great analogy. I like the ants and the bees. It is interesting to me that our Western left is really more about the ideologies of communism and Islam, radical Islam. instead of the Judeo-Christian foundation that we know we were founded on. Now, here's a take about, you remember what happened, ladies and gentlemen, in Australia a month or two ago, the shooting on the beach. I mean, if that doesn't wake people up to the fact that we can no longer ignore this radical Islam, I don't know what will wake you up.
Religion of peace. Islam is a religion of conquest. You don't have that problem with non-Muslim immigrants from other parts of the world. Every country seems to have this problem, only with the Muslim communities. It's not racism, it's not prejudice, it's self-preservation.
Australia has some of the toughest gun laws in the world. Let's tighten our gun laws. That immediately offended many people who live in rural Australia because they said, well, why are we the target when we won't call out the people who did this, radical Islamists?
Look at what's going on in Iran, where you have protest after protest led by Iranian women fighting for their rights, and feminists are almost always 100% silent.
16 people killed at Sydney's most famous beach. What went through your mind when you heard about it?
Well, when we come back from this break, Dr. Young, I want to ask you a very simple question, and that is, why aren't American women standing up for the Islamic women who have such little power and control? We'll be right back with that question answered by Dr. Young, my friend. You're listening to the Martha Zoller Show. I am Tom Smiley. We'll be right back after this brief break.
So there's a brand new app called Are You Dead? You have to check in with it every 2 days to confirm that you are actually alive.
Or you could just call the Todd Starnes Show. Weekdays at noon on North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
Winter days have me dreaming of sunny, warm shores and great times with friends around the table. That's why I'm looking forward to teaming up with Colette and Peach State Bank and Trust to head to Portugal with you this fall. It's Bill Main inviting you to join us as we enjoy multiple nights in charming Porto and the amazing Algarve coast. We'll walk the cobblestone streets and cruise the scenic Douro River, from the colorful capital of Lisbon to the stunning whitewashed villages of the Algarve. We'll savor wonderful foods, bask on beautiful beaches, and even tour a family-owned cork factory. If you missed the recent informational meeting we had with Colette, fear not, it's not too late to find out more and to get signed up. All you need to do is log on to WDUNtravels.com for all the information. You can even sign up there. Or call Colette at 800-581-8942. Get your questions answered and then get on board with us September 28th as we head for Portugal. Presented by Colette, Peach State Bank and Trust, and North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
Waste Eliminator is a full-service waste management company providing critical disposal, recycling, and environmental solutions for business and residential clients. From large-scale commercial projects to smaller residential cleanups, Waste Eliminator offers reliable dumpster rental service tailored to your needs. Whether you're tackling a renovation, new construction, or even a simple home cleanout, Waste Eliminator will manage the waste efficiently and sustainably. Visit online at wasteeliminator.com.
Spring is just around the corner, and the last thing you want to do is spend all your weekends on yard work. Echo Power Equipment takes the hassle out of work, so chore time won't get in the way of your time. Find your own trusted professional-grade Echo equipment at Howard Brothers. They have the best equipment selection and price available. Their team is ready to serve and to help you plan your spring the right way. The grass is always greener when you take care of it with Echo and Howard Brothers.
With beef prices on the rise, the Backyard Butchers are here right now with 20 ribeyes for only $39. But hurry, they're selling out fast. Look for the big red truck in the parking lot at Tractor Supply in Cornelia. Get there now or pay double at the grocery store. 20 ribeyes for only $39. Don't wait, limited supply. Look for the big red truck at Tractor Supply in Cornelia. Plus, premium steak, chicken, pork, and crab leg specials. See locations at backyardbutchers.com. Cash, credit, debit, and EBT accepted.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, day 5 of testimony underway in the Barrow County trial for the father of alleged Appalachia High School shooter Colt Gray. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Welcome back. I hope you're enjoying our discussion. Now, look, I'm trying to finish up everything that I started 15 days ago, 75, 76 pages of stuff. I'm down to like 12 pages. Today, I wanted to focus on climate change, on socialism, on radical Islam, and Sharia law. And that's what we're doing right now with Dr. Douglas Young. When we come back at 10 o'clock, we're going to focus on socialism and what's going on our college campuses and with our young adults. I've got Dr. Douglas Young, my friend. You can Google him. Just Google Douglas Young, and you'll find him. And he's a professor emeritus. He's a very well-respected scholar. He's written several books. One of my friends summed it up like this: if they ever provide brain transplants, I want his. So there you go.
Trust me, he doesn't.
So, all right. So I gave you an assignment. I like giving the professor an assignment. So the assignment is, what's up with these women in America who won't support the women of Islam who have no rights whatsoever? What is up with that?
That's a great question. And I think a companion question to that would be, why is it that the feminist groups in this country also refuse to defend girls and young ladies who are athletes who are having to now compete against all these boys and young men who are claiming to be women and are stealing trophies from them and college scholarships? But Dennis Prager, my guru, I think put it very well years ago when he said that feminist groups care no more for women than communists care for workers. They're all just leftists.
Say that again. That's a great quote.
Feminist groups care no more for women than communists care about workers.
Yes, great.
They're merely using or exploiting women to achieve their own political power.
So, that is such a great quote. And the fact that these women in America seem to have no regard for the real struggles of the Islamic woman. I mean, they are persecuted. They can't be educated. They have to cover themselves completely up. They have no rights. They can't even leave the house without a male escort. I mean, is that, Dr. Young, what do they hate white in themselves so much that they would just loathe the Western culture?
One theory is that because almost all Western feminists are white, upper middle class, upper class women, maybe there is some subconscious racism because most all of the women in the Muslim world are non-white. They are in the third world. They're in countries that are probably never visited by most Western white feminists. I'm not sure, but to me, it is such an obvious contradiction. If you really care about women's rights, if you really believe that women are made equally in the image of God, are equally loved by God, and deserve equal rights, how in the world can you ignore what Bill Maher, to his credit, he's a liberal, but he's right about this, what Bill Maher sees as the biggest human rights issue on the planet, the fact that the mass of women in most of the world don't have remotely as many rights as the mass of men. But feminists don't seem to care about that.
It's kind of like Donald Trump. He had to say to the women, to the leftist feminists, he had to say, look, I'm going to protect women whether you like it or not.
Right, exactly.
I thought it was a great line. All right, so producer extraordinaire. So the folks in Texas are taking this real serious, as I'm trying to get you to take. I'm telling you all listening. I'm telling you all who are listening. Mark this down. Tom Smiley is telling you this Sharia law and radical Islam is coming to a city near you. You must be aware of the evil of this stuff and begin to be educated about it and speak up about it. So here are some folks in Texas who are saying, you know what? We're taking it serious. We're actually putting together a Sharia, anti-Sharia council in Texas to try to bring attention to this matter.
Right to it. What is going on, particularly in Texas? What is Sharia law? And tell me what it's like for, let's just say, a woman in Texas to operate in a Sharia law zone.
Well, we're trying to cut that off now. What's happening in Texas is they're building mosques. They want to build this 400-plus acre city, Muslim city. There has been one talked about in Blue Ridge, in Aubrey, in Kaufman County. All of those are in the Dallas area. That's what we're trying to cut off now so that we can stop an alternate political system being involved in Texas. That's why we started the Sharia Free America Caucus. We now are up to 38 members, 10 of which are from Texas.
Anti-Sharia Law Caucus. So that's starting in Texas. But Andrew Clyde, 9th District Congressman in Georgia, is also concerned about Sharia law and radical Islam. And this is what our representative, Andrew Clyde from Georgia, had to say.
In America, there is only one supreme law of the land, and that is the United States Constitution. We all took an oath to support and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that's why we're here today, to uphold that oath by combating the danger that is Sharia law. Sharia represents a clear and present danger to our country. It is simply incompatible with the Constitution, the values we hold dear as Americans, and the very foundations of Western civilization. Radical Islam has long posed a threat to Western culture and our American way of life. The spread of Sharia is the latest saga in this ongoing battle, one that must be won for the spiritual, societal, and political well-being of future generations. Let me be clear. Sharia law and radical Islam have no, and I mean no, place in America.
I'm proud to know that our congressman is on it. The folks in Texas are on it. Dr. Young, it is so incompatible with our Constitution.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, fundamentally, Islamists are all about control, totalitarian control of over what you say, what you do, what you think, what you read, what you write. It's totalitarian. And America is the freest nation in the history of God's green earth. Our founding fathers were the greatest, most Christian, libertarian philosophers and revolutionaries who ever lived. And they would be absolutely appalled at Islamism, Sharia law, communism, any kind of totalitarian ideology.
You know, it's interesting. It's very interesting to me that folks just don't know their history. They don't know the Constitution. I mean, I'm telling you, there's a place called Dearborn, Michigan, where I have it on good authority that local public safety officers won't even enter the city of Dearborn or parts of the city because they're afraid of the Sharia law and Islam radical activists. Won't even go in the city, and it's an American city. I just can't get it. Our founding fathers will be rolling over. All right, look, we'll be right back. We're going to finish up this conversation on Sharia law and then talk about socialism and what's going on with that. You're listening to The Martha Zoller Show. I am Tom Smiley.
Discover what makes business thrive in our community at the Greater Hall Chamber Business Showcase, Tuesday, February 24th from 2 until 7 at the Gainesville Civic Center. Meet over 50 local exhibitors showcasing the products and services that power Gainesville and Hall County. The event is free and open to the public, and at 5 o'clock, join us for the new Showcase Social with local light bites and networking. Make plans to attend the Greater Hall Chamber Business Showcase. Find all the details at greaterhallchamber.com.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
The economy has slowed down, and President Trump blames Democrats. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Economic growth slowed in the fourth quarter, expanding just 1.4%, weaker than predicted and down from 4.4% in the third quarter.
That's Fox's Jenny Casola. As for the blame,
before the GDP report was released, President Trump posted that the government shutdown cost the USA at least 2 points in GDP, and he called again for the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates.
There also was an inflation update this morning showing a more than expected increase in what are called personal consumption expenditures in December, up 0.4%, and the annual rate of PCE inflation up slightly, 2.9%. We're just getting news out of the White House that President Trump is planning to take a trip to China March 31st to April 2nd. The president now is having a breakfast meeting with some governors at the White House, and a reporter just asked him about potentially attacking Iran.
Are you considering a limited strike, sir?
I guess I can say I am considering.
The president saying he is considering taking legal action. He's been saying bad things will happen if Iran doesn't agree to scale back their nuclear and missile programs as the U.S. military presence grows in the region.
Amid new reports that Iran is preparing for war and rebuilding its nuclear sites that were damaged in U.S. strikes last year, all despite engaging with the U.S. in talks, President Trump is making clear that Iran has a very short window to agree to a deal. According to a new report from the Wall Street Journal, President Trump may force Iran into an agreement by carrying out a limited initial strike to escalate pressure.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House. At the Winter Olympics, Norway just broke a record, winning gold again. They're 17th this year, more than any country in any Winter Games ever. And the day after Americans won gold on ice twice, figure skating and women's hockey, Team USA will play Slovakia in the men's hockey semifinals. Canada faces Finland first. The game starts later this hour. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and more witnesses are called to the stand to answer questions related to the 2024 Appalachia High School fatal attack. Barrow County prosecutors allege that Colin Gray provided the AR-style weapon used in the shooting, despite warning signs about his then 14-year-old son, Colt Gray's intentions. On Thursday's fourth day of the trial, Deputy Anthony Townsend testified about his initial instructions to secure the school building.
Did you know what had happened at Appalachia?
Yes.
And what did you know about what had happened at that time?
At that time, I was only made aware that there had been an active shooter incident in which multiple people had been injured.
Day 5 of the testimony is now underway. Hall County high school teacher is facing rape and child molestation charges in Banks County. WDUN's Lawson Smith with more.
The Banks County Sheriff's Office said 32-year-old Felipe Enrique Nunez of Gainesville was arrested last Friday on a list of charges related to alleged offenses he committed against a then underage girl between 2018 and 2019. The Hall County School District confirmed that Nunez had been working at Chestatee High School as a Spanish teacher and JV boys soccer coach since September of 2024. He has been on administrative leave since his arrest. The school district added that there is no evidence that the case involves any Hall County students.
GBI continues to investigate an officer-involved Gwinnett County police shooting where a suspect died from injuries Thursday afternoon. WDUN's Logan Landers reports.
Gwinnett police called the GBI Thursday afternoon to investigate the 911 response for domestic threat of violence at a home along Oak Tree Park Court. GBI officials said the GCPD officers arrived after 3:45 p.m. to find the suspect, 31-year-old Narwas Mahmoud of Lawrenceville, at the front door holding a knife. After several voice commands to drop the knife were ignored, officers said Mahmoud allegedly approached officers who then fired multiple times at him and struck him.
He later died at a hospital from his injuries, but no further details have been released as of last report. And residents of Banks County are warning of scammers calling residents while pretending to be a sergeant with the sheriff's office. More from WDUN's Hamilton Keener.
The Banks County Sheriff's Office said the callers ask the resident if they know or are related to an inmate and then request money. The Sheriff's Office will never call to ask for money regarding an inmate, call to collect money for an outstanding warrant, or request payment over the phone by gift card or through apps.
More news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN forecast.
Some scattered shower chances, partial clearing with sunshine, and near record highs in the mid-70s this afternoon. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Blairsville, 60 degrees, Sugar Hill with 65, and in Gainesville, 63. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
United We Run for those struggling to make ends meet.
Join us Saturday, March 21st at 9 a.m. as we race through Phase 2 of the scenic Highlands to Islands Trail. This event features a 5K and 1 mile fun run with every step supporting United Way of Hall County's One Hall United Against Poverty initiative. Make an even bigger impact by becoming a sponsor. For more information and to register, log on to unitedwayhallcounty.org/race.
Hey Daddy, what's in a crawl space?
That's a good question, Annie. I'm Cody Lovin with Crawl Space Medic. Musty smells, dampness, and sagging insulation means your crawl space or basement might need some attention. Our team quickly finds and fixes moisture problems, updates moisture barriers, and resolves structural issues, ensuring your home stays dry and comfortable. Don't let your crawl space problems affect your comfort, air quality, or property value. Visit crawlspacemedic.com.
A healthy home starts from the ground up.
From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show. Talking the issues and filling in for Martha, it's Dr. Tom Smiley on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Welcome back to the Martha Zoller Show. I am Tom Smiley filling in, and today is my last day of like 16 days. Martha will be back on Monday. We've talked about a lot of important topics. I hope I've helped to inform you. Along the way, I've entertained you a little bit, but more than anything else, I've told you the truth these last 16 days. We've talked about the transgender delusion. We've talked about reparations. We've talked about nuking the filibuster. And today, we're closing out these 14, 15, 16 days by talking about Sharia law and radical Islam. We're going to jump on socialism in just a moment, and then we'll close out with that hoax of all hoaxes, climate change. But as we wrap up our discussion on radical Islam and Sharia law, I've got Dr. Douglas Young with me, professor emeritus, all-around good guy, author, speaker. If you ever need a speaker for any of your civic groups, church groups, community groups, if you want a speaker on anything historical, history, foundation of our country, whatever, you need to contact Dr. Douglas Young. And then send me a portion of the
Yes.
honorarium as his press agent.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, so here's the last take I want to share with you about Sharia law and the dangers of radical Islam. This is one that just simply talks about what American Muslims want. And not even the Democrats, like everyone's denying this threat. But radical Islam is alien ideology to our Western culture. Listen to this.
What percentage of U.S. Muslims believe that Sharia law should be implemented in the United States?
So I'm not aware of survey data on that specific question. However,
I can tell you it's 39%. 39% of Muslims in the United States want Sharia law implemented in the next 20 years. Do you know what percentage of Muslims in the United States support the formation of a Muslim political party?
Again, I'm not familiar with survey data on that particular question.
Number is 46%. Do a couple more. Do you know what percentage of Muslims in the United States support making it illegal to show a picture of the cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad?
So as with the other questions, a lot depends on the wording and the sample, and I would want to see the details
50%.
of the methodology here.
That's a lot. Let's do one more. Do you know what percentage of Muslims in the United States believe that Islam should be declared as our national religion?
Once again, I would want to look at the methodology of the survey, the questions.
33%. This is from a survey conducted by the Heritage Foundation in 2024. In September of 2024, it was published on October 6th, 2024. I got two more for you. Do you know what percentage of American Muslims believe that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish homeland?
I don't know that one either, but if it's from a survey by the Heritage Foundation,
it's
they are known for their bad
43%.
methodology.
You're happy, you can declare that statistics you don't like aren't true, but that's not how I'm going to operate here. We got one more. Do you know what percentage of Muslims in the United States say that Jewish people have too much power in government policy?
Once again, I would refer you back to my previous answer.
57%. Do those facts concern you?
I would want to see the nature of the survey, and I would also know the.
No, I'm just asking. I'm just asking if those statistics concern you.
If they were accurate, they would be a matter of concern, but I would want to see...
They are accurate, and I think that they are a matter of concern, and I think most Americans agree with me there.
That is...
Sobering.
Is asinine. I mean, for a guy to be at a congressional hearing and not know, first of all, not know any facts, and second of all, try to act like the truth doesn't exist. 39% want Sharia law. This is in America. 39% want Sharia law. 46% want there to be a Muslim party. Not a party, a political party. 33%. 43% says no Israel. No Israel. Wipe them out. Get rid of them. 43% of Islamists in America. 43%, according to this survey. And then also 57% in America say, you know what, Jews have too much power. We need to tone them down. Dr. Young, what is the history of our culture? What's going to happen? What's the future?
I think that we have far too many teachers and professors who are too scared to talk about this. This is all politically incorrect because Muslims and the racial minority groups who tend to have a larger share of the Muslim population are seen as oppressed groups, and they can do no wrong. And so too many professors and teachers will not dare mention these facts. It's too controversial. They don't want to potentially get in trouble. If one student or one parent of one student ever complains and says, oh, this person is anti-Muslim or he's racist, wow, that teacher's career could even potentially be on the line. So the safe thing for most teachers and professors to do is just to never mention this. And that's really a shame. I mean, we now have such deep-rooted identity politics in this society that so many people say that if you disagree with me on some issue, you're anti whatever is my race, my sex, my sexual orientation, my religion, my culture, whatever. And so what we've got, I think, a record number of teachers and professors who are too afraid to broach any of the major issues, any controversial issues in the classroom because it's just too dangerous.
Yeah, I've had several people question me this last couple of weeks. Say, Tom, no, are you sure you want to talk about reparations? Are you sure you want to talk about that transgender stuff? I mean, you're going to make people mad. Well, it is what it is. All right, look, Dr. Douglas Young is with me. He'll stay with me for the rest of the show. Now, after this break, we're going to come back and we're going to jump on the final topic. Well, not actually the final one, but it may be our final one. We may not have time to get to the final one, but we're going to jump on socialism because I really need to get his input, and you need to hear his take on socialism and why it's invading, especially our young people. So we'll do that with Dr. Douglas Young, Professor Emeritus. Now, look, go Google Douglas Young. Just Google that name. And later on, I'll get him to share with you some of the stuff, but he's got several books. He's an excellent speaker. He has all kind of credentials. So Google Douglas Young. You'll find him, and he's going to be our guest for the rest of the show up until the 11 o'clock hour. So you're listening to the Martha Zoller Show. I am Tom Smiley, bringing you the truth today about these important topics. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. By the way, 770-535-2911. 535-2911. I'd love to hear your take on how you've enjoyed this honest discussion about Sharia law, and then coming up next, socialism. We'll be right back.
Austin Hill did it again with his fourth win in 5 years at the O'Reilly Auto Parts opener in Daytona. Now it's off to Atlanta for the Bennett Transportation 250 Saturday at 4:30 on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
100 grand is what you could win over and over again. You could win big every time. Go play Keno. Connect in the verse, then Keno picks 20. The more you match, the more you win. Money win one time, 2 times, there's no limits. Up to 100 grand every 3.5 minutes.
You like winning over and over again? It could happen with Keno. That's right. You could win 100 grand playing at the bar, in the store, or online. And there's a new game starting every 3.5 minutes. So why win big just once?
100 grand is what you could win.
Win up to $100,000 every 3.5 minutes. Play Keno from the Georgia Lottery. Play responsibly.
Hey, Georgia, looking to win a ton of cash? Pick up a scratcher from the Georgia Lottery. You know, there are almost 367,000 scratcher winners a day. That's over 2.3 million winners a week. Just go to your favorite retailer to get your hands on a scratcher today.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing and check out the Players Club at GALottery.com.
This might be the best match you'll make all year. It's the tax match event at Krause Family Hyundai of Gainesville. We'll match your tax refund or down payment up to $3,000 when you buy a new Hyundai. So if you have $3,000, you end up with $6,000 toward a new Hyundai like the 2026 Palisade. Plus, you get America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty and Hyundai Assurance. Find your match before it ends. Get to Krause Family Hyundai on Atlanta Highway off I-985 in Gainesville or visit KrauseFamilyHyundai.com for full details.
Looking for real farm fresh meat? At Potts Family Meats, we bring you beef the way it's meant to be. Raised locally, cut fresh, and packed with the quality only a family operation can deliver. From thick, juicy steaks to tender roast and the freshest ground beef in town, Potts Family Meats brings the farm straight to your table. No shortcuts, no long-distance shipping, just honest, homegrown beef you can trust. Stop in today and taste the difference or shop online at pottsbrosfarm.com to schedule your delivery. Potts Family Meats, farm fresh, family proud, always local.
For over 40 years, Eagle Ranch has helped thousands of children and families find healing and renewal. My name is John Shackelford, and I'm the Executive Director of Eagle Ranch. In 2021, our family felt a clear call to leave our life in Atlanta and come to steward the incredible legacy of the ranch into the future. The ranch continues to come alongside children and families through therapy, practical guidance, and resources, all anchored in the love of Christ. If you or someone you love needs the supportive, healing environment of Eagle Ranch, please encourage them to reach out to eagleranch.org.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, a teacher from Chestatee High School faces rape and child molestation charges in a Banks County Sheriff's Office case. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Welcome back to the Martha Zoller Show. I am Tom Smiley filling in for Martha. Boy, I've got to hurry. Only have about 45 minutes left, and then I'll be gone into the ashes of historical.
Oh, no.
Dr. Douglas Young is with me, and we're going to jump on now this topic of socialism. He even has his pen that says resist socialism. I love that pen. I love that pen. Let me begin with sharing with you what Ronald Reagan said about socialism.
We've been creeping closer to socialism, a system that someone once said works only in heaven where it isn't needed and in hell where they've already got it. We call this idea socialism. Socialists believe humankind would be better off without economic freedom, and so they seek to replace it with rules and regulations. And if there's one tragic lesson the 20th century has taught us, it is that the social engineers cannot tailor the human soul to fit the fashions of the present day, no matter how they try. For the truth is, men cannot design humankind. Capitalism, not socialism, is the most progressive, revolutionary, and powerful economic force for good in the world today.
You know, Dr. Young, those were some very challenging comments back in Reagan's day. And it shows you just how clairvoyant he was to know that even then, as is now, socialism is a very important topic for people to get a handle on.
And Reagan was a political prophet in predicting the downfall of the Soviet Union and the communist countries in Europe, the communist governments there. People thought that was ridiculous, that system was going to remain for generations. And he was proven absolutely true. Within just a few years after he left the White House, the Berlin Wall came tumbling down, and the Soviet Union and every single communist totalitarian regime in Eastern and Central Europe collapsed.
Yeah, I went through my audio vault, and I came up with this clip, this conversation on hyper-socialism, and how it always ends, Dr. Young, and you've said this before, it always ends with the corruption and with a dictator. That's how it always ends. It may not begin like that with Madami, doesn't begin like that, but it ends with a corruption and a dictator. And here's an audio clip from my audio vault that talks about that and 3 lessons we learn from socialism.
Hyper-socialist countries always fall into extreme poverty and dysfunction. This is when socialism becomes authoritarian. Its political faces are no longer popular enough to get democratically elected, and so they squash the very thing that put them in power. We saw this clearly in Venezuela. Maduro himself tried to coup his way into dictatorship in 1992, but found that democratic socialism was an easier way for him to ascend. And once he gained power, he began to consolidate it. The second lesson we can learn from Venezuela is to never fall for wannabe dictators who use the word democracy as a distraction from their authoritarian impulses. And the third lesson we can learn is to be like Maria Corina Machado, bold, unrelenting, and selfless.
Dr. Young, that is pretty doggone self-explanatory.
Sure. If you look at Adolf Hitler, who was the head of the National Socialist Party, he was far more of a leftist than a rightist. He tried to take over the German government in the Weimar Republic November 9th, 1923, with the Munich beer hall putsch. And he was arrested and jailed for that. And he learned from that experience that the way to take over Germany was to put on a suit and tie and pretend that you're a genuine small d Democrat. And so he ran for public office. And in the November 1932 German national elections for the German Reichstag, for their parliament, the Nazi Party won a plurality of the vote. And that's how he became chancellor. And then within the next few years, he became a totalitarian dictator.
Because they can't sustain themselves, because sooner or later it falls apart and the people rise up and get mad, and they don't want to lose power, so they begin to be authoritarian and really persecute the people. That's how it works.
Right. Socialism, like Islamism, is an ideology. It's a system of control. Government control. The socialists say they want equality of results for everyone. Well, the only way you can get equality of results is for the government to forcibly fix the system so that we don't have any material inequality.
Can you name a revolution that started off with, the wonderful benefits of communism and socialism, but and ended up maintaining that rather than falling into further decay and corruption? I mean, it doesn't exist, right? I mean, they always become corrupt and dictators.
I would say that the only communist system I can think of that can take genuine credit for a lot of successes would be the Chinese communist system. Now, let me state for the record that Mao Zedong, even though he promised democracy, when he took over October 1st, 1949 in China, he imposed a totalitarian communist dictatorship. But to the credit of Deng Xiaoping and his followers, starting in the late 1970s, after Mao died, Deng introduced a tremendous amount of capitalism in the Chinese economy. And since the late 1970s, China has experienced a record amount of economic growth and prosperity. And communist China today, while it still has a communist political system, the Communist Party has a legal monopoly on all political power in China, but economically, there is far more freedom and prosperity than ever before, and socially, there's a lot more freedom. It's now a more traditional authoritarian system, whereby provided you don't question or criticize the leadership of the Communist Party, you can now have a fair amount of personal freedom in China.
But we do see a lot of social, a lot of human rights violations. I mean, the Uyghurs are being just, exterminated in China, and other human right violations in China.
Well, clearly they do not have Western-style freedom, or they don't have, the amount of freedom they have is not nearly as great as what we take for granted here. Right. But I would also add that the progress that has been made in China over the last 45 years has been all due to capitalism and transitioning away from that Maoist totalitarian brand of communism. It has been thanks to the Western influence that China has made this wonderful progress over the last 45 years or so.
For our extraordinary producer, I want you to drop down to the last take on that page there where it says the false promise of socialism, Logan. And then I want you to look in the second page of my notes and where it says socialism doesn't work, but some think it's going to be different this time. I want to get those two takes coming up next. So give me a thumbs up when you get the false promise of socialism. So socialism, as we're learning from Adami, they make a lot of promises, but they can't really fulfill a lot. There's some false promises of socialism. Listen to this and let me have your take.
The promise of socialism. Everyone is equal, equally miserable and broke. Take money away from productive people and give it to those who waste it. Everything for free, paid for by rich people who leave. Pretending to care about the poor, but actually just hating the rich. Own nothing but be happy because the rich don't either. And then when it all fails, blame the greedy capitalists who provided all the money for socialism in the first place.
So what do you think? I mean, that's kind of a simplistic view of it, but there's some truth to that.
Sure. The reality is, I think the best way to understand socialism is to contrast it with capitalism. Capitalism is a system rooted in freedom. In a truly capitalist economy, everybody is free to go as high up the professional career financial ladder as his talent, skills, intelligence will allow him. And so in a capitalist society, there is no equality of results. No two people will have the same amount of money, savings, et cetera, et cetera. But socialists hate that. They are all about, at the root of socialism is equality. And socialists define equality in terms of equality of results. And the only way you can have equality of results is for the government to come in and forcibly take from the haves and give to the have-nots. And so what you have in socialist economies is there is a much lower gap between the haves and have-nots, but most everyone is at what would be in American society a poverty level.
Yeah. Except for the people in charge. They seem to have the cars and the mansions
Absolutely.
and so forth.
If you look at the socialist leaders, they are almost always multimillionaires.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you talk about Fidel Castro, who had 17 mansions in Cuba.
Bernie Sanders today.
Yes, Bernie Sanders has three houses.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sandy Cortez, the congresswoman from New York City, she has amassed a fortune in the few years she's been in Congress. If you look at Ilhan Omar, the radical leftist, she has gone from having almost no money to being worth $30 million in just a few years. Mandami is a rich socialist. I mean, they want one thing for themselves. They want socialism for the masses, but capitalist wealth for themselves.
So basically what we find happening and what will happen with the Madami and the others is that they'll just change power brokers. I mean, now it will be Bernie Sanders in charge. Now it will be Madami in charge. Now it will be, Ilhan Omar in charge, AOC. And I mean, they're just changing fish in the aquarium.
Right. I mean, you've got a new leadership class with socialist governments. They overthrow the capitalists, and they're the new bourgeoisie. They're the new ruling class of economic wealthy elites.
All right. Well, I told you we're going to talk about the hard topics today. I got Dr. Douglas Young with me, a friend, expert. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Martha Zoller Show. I am Tom Smiley.
This is Mike Cormier, General Manager at Hardy Chevrolet. Some folks think that the automobile business is just about selling cars. At Hardy, we know it's more than just that. For us, it's about helping that young driver with their first car and helping that growing family that needs a bigger car. It's about relationships. It's about family. Drop by for a visit and you'll understand what Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
All right, fellas, 2 words for you. Prostate exam. You can relax. If you're 40 or older and have a prostate, visit RelaxIt'sABloodTest.com to find out if a PSA blood test is right for you. The PSA blood test can be the first step in screening. Talk to your doctor to evaluate your risk, determine when to get tested, and discuss screening options and next steps. That's RelaxIt'sABloodTest.com. Sponsored by Novartis.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
I chose this for our wedding. It's called Together as One by Stryper. Totally picked the song because of the words, because it was the Unity candle.
Yeah, sure.
But then it goes into this 2.5-minute solo, and my grandmother's on the front row and stuff. They're like, what is going on?
Always a lot of fun with Mornings on Main Street, weekdays on North Georgia's News Talk.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Chris Foster. The Supreme Court strikes down the tariffs imposed by President Trump last year on imports from nearly every other country under a federal law meant for national emergencies. Fox Chief Legal Correspondent Shannon Bream.
We know it's authored, the primary opinion, by the Chief Justice, and says essentially that this IEPA, this law that grants the president emergency powers, did not give him the power to levy these tariffs that he's levied. The part of this initial opinion says the words regulate and importation. The president says that gives him the independent power to impose tariffs on imports from any country, any product, any rate, any time. These words, it says, cannot bear such weight.
It's a 6-3 decision. President Trump has called this a life or death case for the economy. Now, it's unclear what happens with the tariffs already paid, tens of billions of dollars. But again, the Supreme Court striking down President Trump's widespread tariffs. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and another day of testimony wrapped up Thursday for the criminal trial of the father of alleged Appalachia High School shooter Colt Gray, as Colin Gray faces 29 charges for allegedly allowing his son access to the gun used in the September 2024 shooting. On Thursday, a Jackson County DFCS worker who was with Colt's case in the spring of 2023 testified she urged Colin Gray to enter his son into therapy.
I feel that Colt should be in therapy at this point, but he said since Colt has been causing him trouble, he still doesn't feel like it's necessary.
GBI continues to investigate an officer-involved Gwinnett County Police shooting where a suspect died from injuries. WDUN's Logan Landers with more.
Gwinnett Police called the GBI Thursday afternoon to investigate the 911 response for domestic threat of violence at a home along Oak Tree Park Court. GBI officials said the GCPD officers arrived after 3:45 p.m. to find the suspect, 31-year-old Narwas Mahmood of Lawrenceville, at the front door holding a knife. After several voice commands to drop the knife were ignored, officers said Mahmood allegedly approached officers who then fired multiple times at him and struck him.
No further details have been released, and a new chief financial officer has been appointed to the Gainesville City School System effective this June. A press release from Gainesville Superintendent Dr. Jeremy Williams listed Lauren Anderson as the district's next CFO. She'll be replacing the retiring Kathy Pethel. Details at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Some scattered shower chances, partial clearing, and near record highs in the mid-70s this afternoon. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Toccoa, 64 degrees, and in Gainesville, 66. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Does your office technology slow your team down? Nothing is more frustrating than printers that jam, copiers that won't connect, and service providers that don't follow through. You and your team deserve technology that works. I'm Matt Nick, president of Duplicating Products, and for over 50 years, we've helped North Georgia offices eliminate bottlenecks, reduce downtime, and get reliable support for office technology. Our promise, we do what we say we will do. If you're tired of office equipment headaches, it's time for a change. Visit us today at duplicatingproducts.com.
There's no doubt we've seen all the snow we want to see. But a blizzard? That's a different thing. That's because I'm talking about the famous gotta-have Dairy Queen Blizzard. Right now, Dairy Queen is offering buy one, get one blizzards on Sundays. Just think of it. All your favorite blizzard favorites are BOGO on Sundays. So grab a friend and head for BOGO Blizzards this Sunday at Dairy Queen of Gainesville on Green Street and Shallowford Road and on Frontage Road in Oakwood. There's never a good day for bad weather, but there's never a bad day for a Dairy Queen Blizzard.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
All right, welcome back to the Martha Zoller Show. Tom Smiley with you, Dr. Douglas Young with me. A couple of texts here. One text is from a 88 number, and I'm just going to say this. He talks about a guy named Edgar Casey. Google it, look it up, and see what you think about that.
He was a psychic.
Yeah, and so just he had pretty long text. I won't read it. Just Google that if you're interested. Here's one from Linda, and Linda says, "Hey, Tom, really enjoying your conversation with a good historian. Love the doctor. Wish this had been discussed 20 years ago. Maybe we wouldn't be in this position today." That's pretty true. And then here's one from one of our listeners that says simply, hey, Muslim theology does not ascribe to religion. It's submit or die. And also they PS with a great read is the Triple E Pirates. I read that. Triple E Pirates is a great read. Several books out on that. Give you some good insight. And then the final one we got in here from a 29 number. Dr. Smiley, have you considered that wearing burqas, is how you say that, burqas?
Yes.
Have you considered that wearing burqas may be an improvement over how some women dress, the green hair, the nose rings, and the neck tattoos? There you go. Always thinking are our listeners. All right, so we're talking to Dr. Douglas Young here about socialism. If I have time, we'll jump on the hoax of climate change. We may not have time, but I want to finish up this discussion on socialism. The point is this I want to make. Listen to this and then give me your insight. Some people think that the problem with socialism is that it just hasn't been tried the right way. That if we do it, it will be different results. Listen to this.
Terrible results of socialism couldn't be more clear, but people still want to try it again. I talked about that with Gloria Alvarez. She's watched parts of Latin America get destroyed by socialism.
I don't get it. They can see it. Look at Uruguay over there. Look at Argentina. Look, or is it Venezuela? They're not saying we want that, but they think they can get it without the bad stuff?
Exactly. Always says this time is going to work. It didn't work in Cuba because Fidel got corrupted. It didn't work in Venezuela because Chavez died. It didn't work in Brazil because they incarcerated Lula, and now Lula is back in place. And it's always, let's try it with the new guy. The new guy is going to do it better. And it doesn't. It is what George Orwell explained in Animal Farm.
From now on, I'll protect your interests. And I'll make your decisions.
I'll make your decisions. So she makes a good point, though, doesn't she? That it hasn't worked, and it's not going to work. And just because you think it's going to work and be different, it's not.
Even if you look at those European countries like the Scandinavian countries, Norway, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, where a lot of American socialists will say, oh, but socialism has worked very well there. Not true. Those countries developed their wealth as capitalist economies.
Yeah.
And then later, they added a lot of socialism. They created welfare states on the top of the capitalist base. But the problem is now, man, Western Europe is economically nowhere nearly as affluent as it used to be. Just a few decades ago, the economy of the United States was smaller than the economy of Western Europe. Now our economy is vastly larger. The fact is, the Europeans profited from the fact that throughout the Cold War, we were bankrolling their defense with NATO.
Right.
And so they really got a big break financially. Well, now the bills are coming due. And gosh, if you look at the average, the per capita wealth of the United Kingdom is less than that of Mississippi, our poorest state in the Union.
Yeah.
I mean, they are suffering economically. Socialism has been disastrous for them.
So you were a professor for how many years?
A little over 33 years.
In the classroom with college students for
yes, sir.
All your career, right? College.
Right.
So why is it, that young people seem to be choosing socialism over capitalism. Here's an audio I want you to listen to. So this is a brief audio that talks about that very question. I want to get your take on it. Why do young people choose socialism over capitalism today?
People keep falling in love with socialism, even when real-world data shows that it seems to destroy every country that tries it. The data is in fact so painfully clear that it's impossible to draw any other conclusions. Capitalism lifts billions of people out of poverty while socialism continually drags them back into it. And yet, millions of people have drawn other conclusions. If you look around, this ideology seems to retain the almost mythic attraction among younger generations. Look no farther than the 2025 mayoral race in New York City, for example. Zoran Mandani won a shocking 75% of the vote among 18 to 29-year-olds. Without that support, he wouldn't have won the race. So why do so many younger people still embrace an ideology that has delivered poverty, misery, and even death for more than a century? Before we even get to socialism, it's important to understand that a lot of people confuse capitalism with cronyism or corruption. So when housing prices explode, wages stagnate, or inflation eats away at people's savings, they blame capitalism for these things, even though all of them are actually the product of government intervention in the free market, not the market itself. For example, when you look at several major economic collapses over the last few decades, like in Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Sri Lanka, all of them saw massive state intervention destroying things like price signals, production, and investment. And when the market is incapable of delivering goods and services because of the state intervention, people conclude that the market has failed rather than the state. But misreading this data isn't the only reason socialism keeps coming back over and over again. One of the biggest draws is actually the moral argument that socialism makes. You see, socialists tell people they're good, the rich are bad, and inequality is evil. And then they promise to fix everything if you just give them a bit more money and a bit more power. And for many reasons, this is emotionally satisfying. It feels righteous, even as we know it leads to disaster. And while capitalists can make arguments using data all day long, many people make political decisions based on emotion, not numbers.
So why, Dr. Young, from your experience in the college classroom, why do you think, I mean, this guy makes some great points. I mean,
right.
He answers the question. What's your input? Why do some young people seem to be drawn to this? Is it just the altruistic attitude?
I think there are many reasons. First of all, we have a record number of leftist, socialist professors and now even K through 12 instructors who want to indoctrinate young people to embrace socialism. Most socialist, leftist, Marxist, communists are atheists. They're secular humanists. And socialism is their religion. And their faith is their political ideology. Their church is their political party. And they see themselves as secular evangelists for leftism or socialism. And so they're not teaching the painful history, the realities of socialism to their students. Also, keep in mind, for young people, fairness and equality are seen as great ideals, and they are. Mm-hmm. And the socialists, they claim that they own those terms, that socialism is all about getting rid of all the harsh, cruel edges of capitalism, and that we need much more government control of the economy to make everybody equal, to eliminate poverty. And quite frankly, when you read the Communist Manifesto, it's very idealistic. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to be equal. There's not going to be any more poverty, no more oppression, no more economic exploitation. Young people, for the most part, are ignorant of the painful history of socialism. And even when a lot of socialists find out, when they learn about the horrors of the Soviet Union and Maoist China and Venezuela and Cuba and Vietnam and elsewhere, Cambodia, a lot of them are immune to those horrors because ultimately, for so many socialists and communists, it is a religion. And so it has a strong, overwhelming emotional appeal that is immune to the realities of history.
Well, that sums it up, ladies and gentlemen. That just sums it up. And you did a great job on that. So thanks for helping me talk about Sharia law, radical Islam, and socialism. We're going to take this quick phone call. Thanks for waiting. I know this is we're going to change gears now and move into climate control hoax as I go out of here. But I want to take this caller. Thanks for hanging on. Welcome to the Martha Zoller Show. Hello. Okay, we must have got him dropped. All right. So let me take a break real quick. It's 10:44. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Martha Zoller Show. I am Tom Smiley.
Real-time news lives in your pocket.
You can rely on it.
Keep up with your community. Download the AccessWDUN.com app today. Powered by North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
This might be the best match you'll make all year. It's the Tax Match event at Krause Family Hyundai of Gainesville. We'll match your tax refund or down payment up to $3,000 when you buy a new Hyundai. So if you have $3,000, you end up with $6,000 toward a new Hyundai like the 2026 Palisade. Plus, you get America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty and Hyundai Assurance. Find your match before it ends. Get to Krause Family Hyundai on Atlanta Highway off I-985 in Gainesville or visit KrauseFamilyHyundai.com for full details.
Has being aimless ever put you at your wit's end? Hi, this is Whit Martin, pastor of Asbury Chapel. There are times in life when we feel aimless, living like we're just wandering through each day and wondering what it is that we should be doing. It's a feeling that means we're searching for purpose, like there's something we know we should put our hands to. The Bible says in Ephesians 2:10, "For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them." Christians find their purpose in the work of God. God has created us to do works that are good in His eyes, and such work rescues us from an aimless and wandering life. We can have confidence about what to do if we put our hands to the work God is doing. If we will search the Scriptures and learn the ways of God, we'll always be able to engage the work of God, driven with purpose and peace about who we are and what we should do. And that is Wit's End. Asbury Chapel invites you to learn more by joining us at 758 Main Street or visit asburychapel.net for more info.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, the GBI is investigating a police-involved fatal shooting from a 911 domestic call in Gwinnett County Thursday. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
All righty. I'm trying to wrap up my 85 pages of show prep from 14 days ago. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We've been talking about, we talked about transgender delusions. We talked about reparations. We talked about nuking the filibuster. We've talked about Sharia law, radical Islam. We talked about socialism. I want to get on to say a few things about climate change in just a moment. But before we do that, Ed, welcome to the show. And we'll let you just wrap up our conversation on socialism for just a moment and go from there. So glad to have you, Ed. Thanks for calling.
Okay, Tom, I just want to make a few points. I think when it comes to socialism, people are not looking for a pure socialist government to take over. I think people like socialist programs. And I believe that socialism cares and invests more on the people, and capitalist form of government care and profit more and invest more in corporations.
Okay, all right. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do, Ed. I ain't got no time left. Ed. I really like your comments. You always challenge us. Let me let Dr. Young talk to that question about Say it one more time, Ed. What your concern was the difference about socialism for the people, capitalism for the
I
corporations.
think when I look at socialism, I think socialist government. You look at even China; they invest more in the people, and capitalist government tend to invest more and worry more about profits and invest more in corporation. They start from the bottom down, just like Ronald Reagan said. Trickle down economics.
Okay,
That's capitalism.
I got you. All right, I'm gonna let Dr. Young address that because I do want to move on to climate control, some audio there in just a moment. But talk to Ed's statement there, Dr. Young.
I think the reality is that the United States spends far more money on education per capita per child than any other country in the world. I mean, whether you look at our total education budgets at the federal, state, and local levels, or you measure it per capita per child, I mean, no other country comes close. We have a massive social welfare system in this country. We spend over $1 trillion a year on welfare at the federal, state, and local levels. We have enormous investments in people. We don't spend remotely as much on defense in this country as we do on social programs. And it is true that the Scandinavian countries have, by global standards, a fairly high standard of living, and they have democratic socialism, but they have extremely small populations. They also have extremely homogeneous populations. They don't have remotely the numbers of immigrants, the millions and tens of millions of very poor immigrants coming into their country that have come into this country, and most of those immigrants who have come to America have initially gotten on some kind of social welfare program. So I think it's a myth that we do not invest in our people. And as we said earlier, these countries, and these Scandinavian countries, like the rest of Western Europe, they have had quite a free ride for a long time regarding we have paid for the bulk of their defense, and they are now really struggling economically. I mean, the economic status of the U.S., average U.S. citizens compared with the economic status of average West Europeans has changed dramatically in the last few decades in our favor.
Well, Ed, thank you so much for that question. That's a good wrap up to my discussion on socialism. And I want to turn attention. We have about 7 or 8 minutes left in the show. I won't be back for a while. Martha will be back Monday. So I just want to bring up some climate change information because, in my opinion, climate change, as it's being touted today by the left and the progressives, is just a big hoax. The first book I read was by Bjorn Lomborg. And I presented that book and some of the facts from it on air on WDUN 6-7 years ago, or whenever it first came out. People thought I was crazy. Here's an audio clip about this author talking about his experience in in debating and trying to and being persecuted by these climate experts, and then we'll talk about that for just a minute. So let's listen to a minute or two of that, and then we'll break it up.
Genocide!
Climate change makes some people very angry.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
But at least one expert takes a more rational approach.
Our resident skeptic, Bjorn Lomborg.
Bjorn Lomborg says there are better things society should spend money on. For saying that, this climate alarmist hit him in the face with a pie.
That's for lying about climate change.
You're lying about climate change.
He's later apologized, and now he's actually getting pied himself. But yes, fundamentally, a lot of people get very upset because if you feel very strongly about your particular area, and I come and say, actually, this is not a very efficient use of resources, I get why people get upset. But for our collective good, for all the stuff that we do on the planet, we actually need to have a conversation about where do we spend money well compared to where do we just spend money and feel virtuous about ourselves.
That's Bjorn Lomborg, who wrote the book. I can't remember the name of the book. I have it in my briefcase. But it's the first book I read on climate change. And I want to do something anecdotal. So let me just give you an anecdotal observation about climate change hoax.
Okay.
Why are the Obamas and Kamala Harris's and all these people, Bernie Sanders, buying homes on the coast if in 3 years it's all going to be gone?
Exactly. I mean, the Obamas have a multi-million-dollar mansion right on the coast at Martha's Vineyards. They're building a huge multi-million-dollar mansion on the coast of Hawaii. You look at all these Hollywood celebrities who go on and on about the dangers of climate change and all the coastal cities are going to be flooded, and yet they're all living on beachfront Malibu, California property in big mansions with huge carbon footprints. I mean, to me, these climate change leaders like Al Gore, they're the secular political equivalent of a lot of televangelists who are wearing three-piece suits with their blow-dried hair, and they're riding in Mercedes-Benz, and they're living in huge mansions. I don't believe those televangelists believe for a second the gospel that they preach. And I don't believe for a second that the Al Gores and these other greeny grifters believe what they're saying. Otherwise, how could they sleep at night? How could they live with themselves with all their huge mansions, all their gigantic carbon footprints, flying Learjets? Bernie Sanders flies Learjets. Al Gore flies Learjets. I mean, it's all a fraud.
And that was AOC that you heard in that take that said in 12 years, because of climate change, the world will come to an end. Well, I distinctly remember Jesus saying that no man knows the time or the date except the Father. So I don't think AOC is in that particular lead. And I don't think her pay grade allows her that up-to-date information. Victor Davis Hanson, I will close out with this. He talks about how AI is changing climate change orthodoxy because the bottom line is now we need power, and windmills won't do it.
For most of my life, at least for the last 35 years, we have accepted the climate change orthodoxy. There was always debate, but the dominant narrative said, no, we have to radically change our economy and move away from fossil fuels to renewable, and that was usually wind and solar. I didn't think in my lifetime that I would see an end to that. And then something's happened lately, artificial intelligence. This seems to be the greatest technological breakthrough since the Industrial Revolution. Takes huge amounts of electricity. We don't have it. Sam Altman, one of the pioneers of artificial intelligence, said if the United States wants to achieve preeminence in the field, we're going to have to build 1 gigawatt plant. That's the size of a large nuclear reactor.
That's Victor Davis Hanson saying, you know what? The Bill Gates are changing their minds because they know data centers cannot be run by windmills and solar.
And I applaud Bill Gates. What a big man he is to acknowledge that he was wrong about climate change. And the fact is, as Dennis Prager, my guru, has pointed out, warming temperatures are good for the planet. It helps us grow more crops. Fewer people die of cold. And the reality is the poor Germans so embraced climate change, they are having to rely so much more now on the the former Soviet Union, Russia, for their oil, because they've learned the hard way that wind and solar do not meet their energy needs, and the German consumers are paying through the roof, through the nose, for their high energy costs.
It's been a great 15, 16 days. Thank you, Martha. I've enjoyed talking about these very urgent and important topics. Thank you for the freedom to let me just kind of go in the direction that I kind of feel inclined. We've talked about transgender delusions. We've talked about reparations. We've talked about nuking the filibuster. We've talked about Sharia law, radical Islam, climate change. We've talked about socialism. And my friend, Dr. Douglas Young, has been a big help in all of that. Google Douglas Young.
You.
Check out his books. And look, when Martha calls, I'll be back. Check with her now. She'll be in.